Good evening, America. I'm Matt Rigby.
And I'm Michael Dixon. Matt, it is championship week.
At last, championship week. Lots of tickets punched this weekend. More to come. We've got to fill out a 68-team field, so it should be fun the week to come. Always the month of March is all about college basketball.
And you can always argue, too, that I think the first half of championship week, when you got the Winthrops and the Florida Gulf Coast of the world, more entertaining than even the second half of championship week.
Absolutely. With that, we will take a look at the first highlights of the night. We still have plenty of basketball left. 4 teams have punched their ticket to the big dance in 2017. The first of those teams last night, the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. Jacksonville State taking on UT Martin in the Ohio Valley Championship. First half, Jacoby Mobley with the hoop and the harm for UT Martin. They cut the lead down to 6, and you see later on for Winthrop, the Winthrop Eagles taking on the Campbell Camels, and there's the shot for Roderick Perkins. He hits a 3 later on. It's Keon Johnson with a 3, and then Keon Johnson with a steal and another 3. Keon Johnson, the star for Winthrop. Campbell would make a run. Nice 3 there for the Camels, and then Keon Johnson with another steal. Winthrop was just too much. They're going dancing. They beat Campbell 76-59.
So Winthrop is going dancing, but those aren't the only 2 teams that punched their ticket yesterday, and we'll flip over to the Florida Gulf Coast Eagles. Starting in the first half, though, it's North Florida. They're just 15-18, but a win away from the NCAA tournament, and Dallas Moore forces a steal and flushes it home, but back the other way in transition. Eagles up 1. It is Brandon Goodwin who lays it in, and then later, game tied at 47, but Goodwin to Zach Johnson in the left corner, and it's 50-47 later on. How about Rajon Tucker, who cuts into the lane, dunks it, and the Eagles will go dancing. But to Arch Madness in St. Louis, it's Wichita State in the first half, up by 9. But the dying seconds of the first half, Paris Lee hits a 3 from the left wing, and the deficit is only 8 at halftime. But fast forward late in the second half, Shockers up 15 when Landry Shamet gets the roll, make it 17. And just for good measure, Rashad Kelly misses a free throw, but Marcus McDuffie finds himself wide open from the left wing. He gets it to go. And again, it is the Shockers who are dancing, part of 4 teams who will go to the NCAA tournament. Jacksonville State, Winthrop, and Florida Gulf Coast are the other 3. But with more bracketology, let's head over to the coffee table where Matt is joined by Andersen Sports Live's own Tommy Rezach. Fellas.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Welcome back to the coffee table for this week's edition. I'm here with our college basketball expert, the Vixen of Valparaiso, Mr. Tommy Rezach. Tommy, you watched all 4 games this weekend. You just saw the highlights over at the desk. 4 teams punched their tickets. They're all mid-majors. Which of the 4 do you think is best equipped to make a run in March?
This might be a surprise to some, but I like Winthrop in this pool of 4 that have punched their ticket. They're advancing to the tournament, beat Campbell in the Big South Conference Championship on Sunday. They've won 8 games in a row. This will be their 10th appearance in the tournament all time. Their only win in the tourney, go back to 2007, they knocked off 6-seeded Notre Dame. So they'll be looking for their first win in the tourney in over a decade, and this is their first bid since 2010. And a player that's really intriguing, senior guard number 5, Keon Johnson. You see his highlights there. Big South Tournament MVP, 22.5 points a game. That's the 10th best average of any player in the country. Winthrop projected to be a 14 seed. I think this might be one underdog prime to make an upset.
We've seen some 14-3 upsets over the last few years. We've also got 3 tickets that are still to be punched tonight. You see them over our shoulders. With 3 games, 1 in the Southern Conference Championship, 1 in the CAA Championship, and 1 in the Metro Athletic Championship. Any of those 6 teams that you think could make a run as well?
Yeah, there's some really interesting ones. Charleston's looking for their first berth since 1999. UNC Wilmington made it last year, lost to Duke. East Tennessee State looking for their first since 2010. And Iona, the defending conference champ for the MAAC, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, looking to go to the tournament for the 2nd year straight.
All right, sounds good. Back to you at the desk, Michael.
Thanks, guys. So again, championship week starts tonight. We saw it a minute ago, but 3 more teams will have reservations for the NCAA tournament after tonight. UNC Greensboro and Elon meet in the SoCon title game. It's UNC Wilmington and Charleston who will play for the CAA championship, and Iona and Siena play for an automatic berth in the Metro Athletic Conference title game. It should be a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to it. Coming up next on Andersen Sports Live, we take a look at the opening weekend in Major League Soccer, and our roundtable ponders free agency in the NFL. That and more after the break.
A lot of high school students would ask, why should I go to UNL? Well, why did Johnny Carson of the Tonight Show fame go to UNL? Why did multi-billionaire businessman Warren Buffett go to UNL? Why do people of such great fame and success go to UNL? Simple, because these are people that wanted to be successful. At the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, you too can begin your own success story. After all, if people like this can achieve national recognition and who came from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, then so can you.
For nearly 7 years now, Here Nebraska has provided the state with nonprofit music journalism. Our platform survives on the hard work and dedication of our staff and our contributors, everyday volunteers that generate content. Contributing is an excellent way to gain valuable professional experience, recognition, and build your portfolio. Go to herenebraska.org to learn more and how you can contribute.
East Campus is for students who want an education outside of the classroom. We have art, agriculture, fashion, food science, law, dentistry, and a lot of trees, all of which are housed just on the corner of 33rd and Holdridge. Grab an ice cream cone at our dairy store or take a stroll through our gardens while you're here. Want to make it legit? Visit us at casnr.unl.edu to reserve a tour soon.
Welcome back into Andersen Sports Live. Now, Michael, when it comes to March, it seems like it's all about basketball.
And sure, of course, it is all about basketball in March, but don't forget about the crown jewel of American soccer, Major League Soccer. 22 teams, including 2 new franchises, kicked off their campaign for MLS Cup this weekend. And we'll go ahead and start in Atlanta. It is Atlanta United and their brand new, or at least a brand new team. In their inaugural game at Bobby Dowd Stadium, we'll pick it up first half, 26-minute back post. It is Yamil Assad who finishes Atlanta United's first ever goal. They're up 1-0 midway through the first half. Second half, opportunity for United to go up by 2, but how about this save from Luis Robles, who keeps it level. Then 76-minute back post. Wonderful job by Daniel Hoyer to head it home. New York equalizes, and then 6 minutes later, ball in front, Bradley Wright Phillips, one of the best goal scorers in the league, knocks it home, and United falls 2-1 in their home opener. But on the flip side, you also had a big matchup between Orlando City and New York City. Let's head to Orlando, the inaugural home in Orlando City's brand new home, and in the first minute on the back post, it is Kyle Larin. Can't get it to go, but he gets some redemption again on the back post. 13 minutes later, heads it straight into the ground and into the back of the net. One more look at it, gets himself free. Clinical header right down into the bottom corner of the net. It's 1-0. But second half, New York City swirling. How about this? Jack Harrison wide open inside the 18, but somehow it stays out. And then this back heel from David Villa. He finds a Coley, but he can't finish. And Orlando will hold on for a 1-0 win in their brand new stadium as well. So the MLS is back, but with more. Let's send it up to Grace at the round table.
Thank you, guys. Today I'm joined by our experts, Kellen Havikin and Stephen Huff. So guys, the Major League Soccer season has just kicked off. It's now underway, and there have been 2 new teams that have been created, along with one of the teams has just built a brand new venue. What do you think? Is this going to help the league, hurt the league? What are your thoughts? Stephen, let's start with you.
I think this is good for the MLS. Finally, there's some excitement around it. If you watch this weekend's games, Orlando City with their new venue was beautiful. It was packed. It was sold out. Great atmosphere there finally in the MLS. Atlanta United, obviously one of the new clubs. They had a sold-out stadium, and it was a great atmosphere. Minnesota, the other new club, they are away in Portland, but they've had so much press, and they had the first pick of the draft, so of course they even got more for that. So finally in the MLS, you're seeing excitement and some media covering it more.
Well, I'm going to disagree. I don't think the MLS is as exciting as it should be, and I think it has a lot to do with the U.S. men's national team.
So, okay, let me get this straight. Are you saying that the inability of the MLS to grow and be successful is based off of the success that the men's U.S. national team has?
Correct, and here's why. The U.S. men's national team today has 32 MLS players on its roster. Now, from the span of 1990 until 2014, they finished as high as the round of 16 in the World Cup. And I think it's interesting because the players that we know, like DeAndre Yedlin, John Anthony Brooks, Fabian Johnson, and Bobby Wood, those are the names that we really know right now. And I have to be honest, they don't play in the MLS.
Yeah.
They play overseas, but guys like Clint Dempsey, Jermaine Jones, Michael Bradley.
They're older.
They're older and they play in the MLS, so there's got to be some sort of fresh blood into it. I just think that the MLS right now has an old taste to it.
It does right now, but that's kind of what you would have to expect. Your stats are from 1990 to 2014. Expansion has really kicked off in these past 3 years, and so that's where the excitement has come from in the MLS is from the World Cup, that past World Cup, and now the expansion. So you have to give it time. There's obviously limitations with the MLS, but given the expansion and given some other adjustments, then the MLS could translate into good U.S. soccer.
So, okay, can you tell me, what do you think that the U.S. needs to do to produce these results? What are some ways that they can do that?
Well, I mean, there's several, Kellen. I think one of them is that there's no relegation system, which you see universally in the European leagues. And that might freshen up the new teams that get dropped. It might add more intensity to all the games, as well as really bring up those communities as well that are fighting for promotion from the league. So I think that's just one of many ideas that they could do.
So you're telling me that we want to go ahead and we want to go down the road, look at the future of this program, but we got to see results now. That's what people want to know. And look at Brazil, look at Germany. When we think of the idea of what sport comes to mind, you think of football in their terms. But here in America, you think of
baseball and American
football.
So yeah, definitely.
We're not helping ourselves and trying to create a better name for MLS or soccer in general. I think this is a much bigger thing for the MLS, just specifically for their league.
Well, in order to grow soccer in the U.S. and make it a top 3, top 2, maybe even the #1 sport, you have to add those relegation systems and you have to boost this league first, and then it'll get bigger even more and produce better U.S. men's national team.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. When you think of the United States, you definitely don't think of soccer. You think of American football and baseball. So.
But with the expansion, maybe that'll change in the upcoming years, hopefully, right?
Yeah, maybe it will. I mean, I guess that's just something we're going to have to see. Obviously, you guys have a difference in opinions on these, but I think we're just going to have to wait this one out and see. All right, that's all we have time for. Back to you guys down at the desk.
Well, the trade deadline dust has settled in the National Hockey League, and now it's time for business. 37 days until the Stanley Cup playoffs begin, and still so much left to be decided in the regular season. Some big playoff games implications this weekend, and we start in Calgary. Flames and the Islanders' first period here. It's Matthew Tkachuk after the puck rolls around a little bit, beating Tomas Greiss, 1-0 Flames early. Then later on, Flames with the puck still, 2-0 Calgary, and Michael Furlan beats Greiss high side. It's 3-0 Calgary. Greiss not happy. Later on, Sean Monahan with the Flames still up 3, gets the pass and slams it home. Flames up 4. Isles did add 1 goal on this John Tavares put back here, but it was too little too late as Calgary wins 5-2. Playoff implications in Minnesota as well. Wild and Sharks. Zach Parise deflects one home early, and then in the second or later in the first, watch this. Chris Stewart thinks he has a goal, thinks he beats Martin Jones near side up high, but watch the puck here. From the aerial cam, you can see it goes underneath Jones's sweater. He doesn't slide into the goal, and so no goal. Still 1-0 Wild. However, later on, Eric Stahl would put one past Martin Jones to make the Wild 3-1 winners at home. Now, Michael, we like to stay national on Andersen Sports Live, but spring football started at Nebraska on Saturday, which means you'll see a whole lot of names you've never heard this spring.
That is right, Matt. So our Sports on the Street crew set out on campus to see how much students really know about the roster.
I'll be honest, most of those would have fooled me, Michael.
Well, I'll have to say the same.
And when we come back, we send it to the roundtable to talk NFL free agency, that and more, coming up on Andersen Sports Live.
Goals are simple. Conserve and protect. The choice is yours. Stay ahead of the game and invest in reusable containers. or simply make use of recycling bins. Our recycling bins around campus can recycle paper, plastic, and even aluminum. Finished with that newspaper? Recycle it. Did you drink the rest of your pop? Recycle it. Heck, we'll even take your homework. Well, after it's graded, of course. Stop throwing away plastic and just recycle it.
What can we do with 2.2 million square feet?
We can create,
Design, develop,
Study.
generate,
build.
At Innovation Campus, we combine research and transformation.
we combine business and art, technology and research.
We combine minds with makers, experts and novices. We innovate.
Welcome to Innovation Campus.
The historic Haymarket, a beautiful place just west of downtown Lincoln. Home of the exciting Pinnacle Bank Arena and a rich history. The Haymarket's history starts shortly after Lincoln's founding, when Lincoln was a busy hub for trains filled with traders and merchants. But now, Lincoln has a new rail yard that's filled with people looking for food, drinks, or fun. The Haymarket is loaded with restaurants and fun for everyone. What are you waiting for? Go visit lincolnhaymarket.org/events to find out what's happening today.
Welcome back to Andersen Sports Live. Michael, the theme all show long has been so far that March is all about college basketball, but there are some other things in some other areas of sports taking place. One of those areas, football, National Football League, Combine, Draft, and the league year soon set to start.
You also had the, 4.22 40-time ran in the Combine over the weekend.
Kid was supposed to win an island from Adidas.
And he didn't because he wasn't wearing Adidas shoes.
All the stipulations that go into that. Well, as we already mentioned, today marks the final day of the annual NFL Combine in Indianapolis, with the defensive backs taking the field earlier for the first time. Of course, the drill everyone cares about the most at the Combine, and possibly the most useless as well, the 40-yard dash. Minnesota corner Jalen Myrick ran a 4.29 this morning, not quite the 4.22 from earlier this weekend, and Marshawn Lattimore ran a 4.36, but the Ohio State corner pulled up lame at the finish line. He's got a pulled hamstring, which is an injury that plagued Lattimore throughout his senior year. We'll check back on that as the draft approaches. And if you're an NFL fan, and let's be real, who isn't, you are well aware of how long the offseason is. In fact, it's longer than any other sports offseason by a full month and a half. But there are some bright spots in that long offseason. One of those was, of course, last week's Combine that we just talked about, and another comes later this week when the new league year begins this Thursday at 4 p.m. With it comes a free agency frenzy. Lots of big names already released and on the market, with more waves still to come. For more on the wild weeks to come, let's go to Nickerson's nicest, Grace Harmon, at the roundtable. Grace?
Thanks, guys. Once again, I'm sitting here alongside our experts, Kellen Havikin and Stephen Huff. And now we're going to be talking free agency within the NFL. Starting off with a big name in the sport, Tony Romo. He was recently pushed out of Dallas by rookie quarterback Dak Prescott. And the question is, where does Tony Romo go from here? Kellen, let's start with you.
Well, the obvious question is I've got them going to the Denver Broncos because who needs a quarterback? I think it's the Broncos, Stephen. And I'm going to go back a ways. I'm going to go back to 2012 and that span between 12 and 2015 where Peyton Manning was the quarterback and he tossed 140 touchdowns and he went to 2 Super Bowls, obviously winning the ring in his last one. Well, then they went to Trevor Siemian, the Northwestern product, 59% completion passes, 3,400 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 84.6 passer rating. Now, you're going to go, why do you want to go to Tony Romo? Do you remember all the issues he had in Dallas recently? Well, let me tell you something, folks. Newsflash, he was great when he was in his early stages at Dallas. 34,000 yards, 248 touchdowns, 117 interceptions, and a 97% quarterback rating.
Certainly a better resume than Simeon.
Absolutely. Now, I get it. He's been hindered by injuries. He didn't have a great offensive line until basically Dallas rebuilt it this year. But the Broncos have a decent enough offensive line, and with the years of rest, Romo's going to be healthy.
I'm going to have Romo going to Houston. Simeon also dealt with some injuries in Denver. They were beat up a lot by that offensive line. They had no running game either. So I don't know if that's the best fit for Romo. I think Houston would be. He'd be playing in a dome, so warm weather, which is what he's used to in Dallas. He has a better running game with Lamar Miller, an offensive-minded coach. Good receivers. DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best in the league. And, of course, a good defense and an easy division. So I see Romo. Denver's not a bad spot, but I think Houston's just so much more of a perfect fit for him.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's talk some other big names in the NFL that also have been dropped recently. Both Jamal Charles and Adrian Peterson they're both pretty significant running backs, always have been in the NFL. They've been recently cut from their teams. What do you guys think about this? What can they bring to teams? Where do you think they're going to go? And, Steven, I want you to start here for me, Adrian Peterson.
Adrian Peterson, I mean, both these backs, great careers. Both of them getting older, though, are going to have to deal with injuries and the wheels falling off on
we're
speed.
adding another
But
minute
Peterson's
to your
going to be
segment,
someone
so
that
it'll
can
be a total
be
of 5
consistent
minutes.
and smart player. He's a smart veteran. So if you're looking to add a veteran to the team, maybe you're one player or upgrade to running back to make a playoff run. Adrian Peterson, I think, is that guy. He's been injured before, but he's bounced back. So.
Good point. I'm going to go with Jamal Charles, his 8th year in the NFL from Kansas City. He's been, if you want to talk about somebody just like Adrian Peterson who's been prone to the injury bug, Charles is your guy. Yeah. His career stats don't jump out at you. 7,260 yards, 70.5 rushing yards, and 43 touchdowns. They've done some nice things with Jamal Charles, but he's a guy that you've got to be able to put behind an offensive line.
Agreed.
He's out of Texas, and Kansas City never had a great offensive line. I think that credits to why his numbers aren't great. I think that also credits to why he was injured too many times. And Kansas City trying to do that. But where does Jamal Charles fit? And I think he is a tough fit for a handful of teams that want them.
One fit I could see for Jamal Charles, he's a good receiving back. That's kind of why they liked him so much in Andy Reid's system. Maybe you throw him in New England with Tom Brady, and he takes on what we saw James White do in the Super Bowl. And he can be a receiving back, kind of a feature back to LeGarrette Blount. Jamal Charles there, Patriots know what to do with veterans, so I think Jamal Charles could fit there. For Peterson, that's tough for me. I don't know if he fits in Denver.
Maybe it's the Chicago Bears, because the Chicago Bears basement of the NFL, and they need some help. I think and Adrian Peterson might be able to spark him something, but the running back idea has really been lost, I think, in the NFL, Stephen, and we've gone to this pro style of offense. So, I mean, I don't know if you would agree or disagree
I see what
there.
you're saying. I think the running backs are coming back, though. You saw David Johnson was the only shining light for the Cardinals. And you look at all the teams that succeeded in the NFL. Who was the star of the Super Bowl? James White. Tom Brady himself said he deserved the MVP. Le'Veon Bell for the Steelers. List goes on and on. Todd Gurley's the only thing for the Rams that you can look up to. So, and we saw how important Marshawn Lynch was as well for the Seahawks. Without him, they've really tanked. So I think the running back is coming back.
Well, let's not forget the Cleveland Browns. Do we ever know what the Cleveland Browns are going to do?
I don't think anyone wants to go to the Cleveland Browns.
Well, the rumblings, it's Tyrod Taylor. The Bills are not going to re-sign his contract, and I don't know if you want Tyrod Taylor or not.
I don't know.
15
I
seconds.
mean, I think that's just something we're going to have to wait and see with all these players. We're just going to have to see in the next upcoming weeks where they're going to end up. All right, well, that's all we have time for at the round table. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, guys. Baseball's opening day sits just 1 month away, but the World Baseball Classic is officially underway. Every 4 years, countries from across the world meet in the 16-day tournament. And as of this morning, we already have our first major upset. Team Israel shocked South Korea in extra innings in Seoul Monday morning. With the likes of Jason Marquis, Ike Davis, and Sam Fuld, Israel held on for a 2-1 win in 10 innings. Israel continues its tournament against Taiwan tomorrow.
Full disclosure, I am a New York Mets fan. Further full disclosure, my favorite football team is the Denver Broncos. Suffice it to say, Tim Tebow is a pretty central part of my life as a sports fan. And that life is set to witness a new chapter come Wednesday. With the Mets roster depleted by players departing camp for that World Baseball Classic, Tebow's services will be requested when the Mets take on the Boston Red Sox Wednesday at First Data Field in Port St. Lucie. Mets manager Terry Collins says Tebow will start as the Mets' designated hitter.
But it is a brave new world on the horizon.
Especially for Tim Tebow, Michael, I would say. He's been hitting a lot of batting practice home runs. Don't know what the correlation to the real field is for that.
I do have a question, though, for you. Tim Tebow can do everything. Can he drive a NASCAR?
Probably. He'll probably take that up after the Mets cut him.
Well, we will step aside with Anthony Ainsley on the telestrator, who looks at NASCAR, coming up after the break right here on Andersen Sports Live.
This is the nation's biggest multicultural center attached to a union. There's space to interact, study, and create. We're home to dozens of cultures, majors, and interests. We are home to all underrepresented students. And here, there's always room for you. Located on the east side of the UNL City Campus Union, find your home away from home. Find us at the Jackie Gunn Multicultural Center.
At the Outdoor Adventure Center, you'll find activities for everyone, from canoeing to kayaking to rock climbing. Everyone can get involved, but if you want to find them, you probably have to look up. The Outdoor Adventure Center isn't something you can really define. It's a culture built through experiences. Take a class with us. Go on a trip with us. We are open from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Come move with us. Come adventure with us. You just have to experience it.
It's your first stop on campus. It's your helping hand. It's a place to study, a place to eat, and a place to plan. The NCARD office, Career Services, Student Affairs Center, a multicultural center, food, and even Greek affairs.
Wait, did you mention food?
Yes, but we have a lot of other stuff too. Come check it out at the Union.
It's our union.
Certain took the short trip up to Atlanta for the folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 on Sunday. As per usual at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the finish was a wild one, and our resident NASCAR expert Anthony Ainsley has more in this week's Telestrator segment.
Well, thanks, guys. Well, once again, another exciting race for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, this time from Atlanta Motor Speedway. This one came right down to the wire. This time the final 7 laps to decide the race instead of the last lap that we saw in Daytona. Let's take a look at the final 8 laps here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. We saw Larson was using the top side supposedly to his advantage here, but early in the broadcast, Darrell Waltrip was thinking, what was Larson thinking throughout all of this? Well, according to Larson, Keselowski, who's running second at the moment, was able to get to the outside of Larson and pass him earlier in the race. Larson thought he would take the line away when the opportunity presented itself. But that happened to be the wrong decision, as Keselowski was just as good on the bottom as he was on the top. Larson, however, not so lucky in that department. Larson letting Keselowski go on the bottom resulted in the 42 coming home second, and Keselowski getting his first win of the season, his first win in 19 races, and his first win in 20 starts at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
That was truly a product of high, wide, and on the outside. Unbelievable.
Really unbelievable. Lots of fun NASCAR still left to come. I think they travel west next, Phoenix.
Phoenix, somewhere around.
Vegas,
Anthony will be able to tell you.
Yeah, Anthony knows.
NASCAR season's really long, too.
Yeah, it's a long race, if you will.
All the way up. What is the tortoise and the hare thingy? Oh, well. Well, that's all we have for you today on Andersen Sports Live. I'm Michael Dixon.
And I'm Matt Rigby.